always sunny down in Mexico. The sun gets high when I get low. The only way to get there is to let yourself go. Good times are made in Mexico.
I do have some rants. A certain resort chain that will not allow outside vendors if they're from the Dominican Republic.
Do you have an update on that?
I had a meeting with them to challenge them on this further, and I really pushed and I said, hey, what is the situation? What happens if my couple hires a Dominican photographer and they show up at the resort as a guest, check in, and then just shoot the wedding as a guest? They said that they would physically stop them. They would be looking for them anyway, because if they said, hey, they don't have a photographer, and then they show up with a Dominican guest, they're going to be like, do we know this guy? Has he been here before? And really the issue is the resort really blamed it on the fact that they have done this before with Dominican photographers, but they had a lot of issues with Dominican photographers in specifically coming to the resort and bringing a bunch of their friends who they said were there to shoot, but just went and used the resort. And so my reaction to that was, I said, well, okay, like maybe I get that, I understand that, but if you have a problem with one vendor, ban the vendor.
Right. I don't feel like that's not every vendor doing that.
Right. So that's why I'm digging on this. I'm like, I was honest. I said, I appreciate you guys coming on here and taking the heat from me asking these questions, but quite frankly, I still believe this is just a way to protect your kickback from the internal vendor. If you have a problem with one vendor, you ban the vendor. You don't ban all Dominican photographers.
Right.
Like that doesn't make any sense to me. And they said, well, we tried that, but then he would just move it and then his brother would show up. And I'm like, well, then ban his brother. Like, ban individual people. Don't ban an entire nation of photographers. So something still seems very odd.
And did you tell them that your couple decided to go elsewhere because of it?
Yeah. Obviously, the people I'm talking to, it's not them that make the policies. Yeah. So I understand that. And I think our job is, to push back and challenge these people, challenge resorts when it comes to this kind of stuff, because it's just a lot of things that don't make sense, and we need to be able to explain it to clients. It just is what it is. That resort is not struggling for weddings. They do a ton of weddings. If you're going to get married there, you got to play by their rules, and that's it. So a little frustrating for sure. It was very clear I wasn't getting anywhere, even after pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. So,
I wonder if enough people push and enough couples decide against the resort because of it, they'll take it back. Because I feel like that's a new rule.
Yeah, and I think that's really where we come into play, is because, we're the ones that are talking to the couples before they even decide on a resort. And so we just need to give the resorts that the couples are not choosing the feedback of why they're not choosing that resort, and continue that. The couple that I'm working with, they decided to move on and go to a different resort specifically because of this policy, and I don't blame them.
Yeah, I would do the same.
Yeah. So you're not going to let me use who I want to use for my wedding. That is literally going to be the closest person to me all day on my wedding day, and a very stressful day. I don't want to just random resort photographer assigned, and I'm out. But the resorts, they're like, well, I guess they don't want the business that bad.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to hurt their business and they're going to take it back, because there's no way every bride is going to be okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. We do a lot of weddings, but it's a resort we have not done a ton. We've done a good amount of business, but not a ton at that property. It's a very popular property. If they're not struggling for the business, they don't want it, then they're not willing to make exceptions. So sometimes it works like that.
Yeah, and I feel like that resort specifically does a lot of industry and other events as well. In the UNICO Facebook group, someone took screenshots of what I guess now is the old patio, or the patio venue at UNICO. They now put a roof on it. I wouldn't be mad about it if it made it fully enclosed, because that's the purpose of AC. Almost looks like a tent-ish type of roof, like it's like this. But then there's the whole wall on the other side, that's the greenery and the fresh air.
The biggest challenge to that is air movement. It's the heat. Have you ever been to an event and you've seen these big, 5-foot tall fans on the floor?
Yeah, like the industrial type of fans.
I would ask them if they can provide some of those, if I can rent some of those, and I'd rent them and set them up around, but I'd have to be really strategic about how it looks.
It's actually funny you say that, because the UNICO wedding that I went to in May, they had a big industrial fan, and we were on the patio when it was still open air. It was still very hot, but they put the fan right next to the DJ stand almost. It was blowing on the dance floor, but it was still like very there in the
It was still
States.
hot even with the fan, but I mean, it definitely helped. Can you imagine how bad it would be without it?
I don't mind it being a little bit warmer, but I could definitely tell like the people that were dancing, they were dripping.
Julia just went to the Fives Playa del Carmen Beach Resort to host our Preview Your I Do trip. We brought 5 couples down to check out the resort to consider for their destination wedding.
Night one, we all arrived, and then we had Casa de Rosa, which that was my first time doing it, and I kind of like knew what to expect because you've told me so much about it, but honestly, the energy of the host exceeded my expectations by a million. She was so much fun throughout the entire night, and it was a really great icebreaker for everyone to hang out and actually meet each other in a fun way that didn't feel forced. I will say doing that night one screwed me up the rest of the trip because I remembered all of their Spanish names instead of their actual names because we get fake names during that. So that was fun, I guess. But that was night one. It was a cool experience. I mean, being able to cook with each other and do the small steps was a lot of fun. But after that, I think everyone was so tired from a travel day. I don't think anyone went out to like the Cantina bar or anything like that.
I think it's a perfect event for day one. It's a really perfect event for day one. You know, you want to eat and meet people. I think it's a great event. I wish I saw that at more resorts. I think it's such a great concept.
Yeah, it was really fun. And I liked that it ended at 9 o'clock too, because it wasn't super, super late. So then it was like, okay, you can still like go back and relax a little bit. We went and did the tours around the resorts. So we saw all of the wedding venues pretty much. And then highlights around the resorts like the bars, good photo ops, and things like that. It was nice because we were able to split up into 2 different groups, 2 couples in one group and then 3 couples in the other group. And it was nice because then the couples could really ask questions that pertain to them and it wasn't all of them in one space together. And then after that, we all met up and did menu tasting. We did a lot of appetizers and it was nice because they gave us a bite size to try it, but then they also presented like what it would actually look like wedding day on a full plate in front of everyone. You could actually see the presentation, which I thought that was a really nice touch. I think they really, really liked it. They served their most popular wedding menu options. So it was like 3 of the most popular for appetizers, 2 of the most popular salads, 3 of the most popular entrees, and then we got to try a bunch of desserts too. So it was nice being able to kind of pick and choose. Same thing for the fake wedding reception too, that also gave them a chance to like have a real wedding meal type of experience to see what it would be like. And then we got to try 3 different kinds of cakes at that, which was very nice. I think almost every single couple said that the pictures online don't do it justice. And I was like, funny you say that because that's why we do these things. But it was so true. The pictures, they just don't show the atmosphere in the same way that you experience it. And I feel like the vibes is very unique for their lush, jungle-y type of vibe. Like a lot of resorts do have that vibe, but I feel like theirs leans more jungle. And it was very cool to be able to walk through what felt like a jungle almost to get to the pool or to be walking back from breakfast and seeing monkeys. They were all very impressed with the resort. And there was only one night where we got to do our own dinners, but they all had good feedback from just the regular resort experience day too. And they really liked the lunch options too, because we got to do that a little bit more than dinner. So someone posted, our wedding is December 6, 2026, and I recently noticed that the website is saying it's now requiring a 7-night minimum stay just for that specific weekend. Half of our guests already booked with a 3-night minimum stay, and I'm not about to tell the rest of our guests that they now have a 7-night minimum. Panicking on whether or not to move the wedding, the bride then commented, we didn't do a room block. We're doing a flexible booking. So there's a $100 50 deposit per head that goes towards the room. They did let us know that there was a 3-night minimum, which I felt was doable, but seen on our wedding website and the resort website that it's now a 7-night minimum stay, but literally just for the weekend of our wedding. I did reach out to our agency, but they said they're waiting to hear back from the resort. So I took it upon myself to reach out to the resort, and I'm waiting on replies.
And what was the date?
Wedding date, December 6th.
Oh, wow. Wow. Okay. I thought you were saying like December 26th, which would have made more sense because obviously that weekend between Christmas and New Year's is the most popular week ever, and that's when you get those minimums. If the hotel's just facing high occupancy, they can absolutely change their minimum length of stay requirement. And if you didn't do a room block, you are screwed. There is literally nothing you can do. This is a horrible situation for her. This is why you do a room block. I cannot stress it enough. You don't want to run into these situations because nothing is guaranteed unless you have a contract. And, you know, if the resort wants to say, I'm not doing these promotions anymore, we're doing a 7-night minimum length of stay, they can do whatever they want. So, wow.
I know. I was thinking about it even further. Just imagine if they're at a 7-night minimum now, that means their occupancy is getting up there. What if they sell out and half of her guests still don't book? What is she going to do?
Right. These are the risks you run when you don't do a room block, which is why we absolutely stress to our couples, do a room block in all situations where you can. There's only very rare situations where it may not be beneficial, and that's if you're worried about hitting your group minimum, or that's if your wedding is coming up within 3 months and you're trying to do a really quick turnaround time.
I feel like this situation also just stresses how you have to understand how your travel agency works and maybe even question it, because she outed who she's working with, and it's a huge company that we see every day. You have to understand that not every agency is almost there for you to protect you in all the ways possible, like the ways that we do. Because I could not imagine one of my brides having this situation and getting a text being like, so there's a 7-day minimum. That would never happen to one of our couples. So I just feel bad in that sense. But I mean, I don't know, like she has no contract, so I don't know what she's gonna do, but I hope there's something that can be resolved for her.
Right. I mean, hopefully they can get some exceptions to get some rooms without the 7-day contract, or they're gonna have to look to move the date. That's really all they can do. Obviously, the resort wants to try to help there and be sympathetic because they do have the wedding booked, and it's a bad look for the resort. But let's face it, we know the majority of wedding stays are 3 to 4 nights. They're not 7 nights. So unless your group's coming from, the West Coast or Canada or whatever, they stay 7 nights. But typically if you're going to East Coast wedding, it's 3 to 4 nights, what the normal is. So what a headache. What a headache. But
I know.
Yeah, this is, I'm almost glad you brought this up because now I can use this as another example when I'm talking to brides about their options and figuring out if we're going to do a flex group or we're going to do a contracted group, because I think this is important. If you have any questions about doing a destination wedding, hit us up every Friday, 1 o'clock here on TikTok for live, or go ahead and drop us a DM, shoot us some questions, and we'll be happy to answer on here. We want to help you make this process smooth and easy. Join us next week, Friday at 1.
Sunny down in Mexico.